So we are now recording. So hello, Peter. Thank you very much for agreeing to this this chat and this sort of conversation about joy. Um, and we met in 2014 in Bristol at the Future Now Spiritual Ecology a conference.
We did.
In what you
Unforgettable co-joining, I think.
Well, it was great. It was fantastic, and it was actually important, and it was, among other things, it did actually have elements of joy in it too. So
It did.
no.
Largely brought to the fore by your fine self, I have to say.
Well, thank you. Now, again, just to sort of set the sort of scene a little bit, I think the establishment will consider you something of a maverick in your field, Peter.
Well, I think maverick is a term used by the establishment to describe or to label people that ask troubling questions of them, or the establishment will use the term maverick against those who disturb them.
Yes.
It's rather like Boris Johnson describing environmentalists as tent-dwelling crusties. You know, it's the same. You know, you've lived with it. I've lived with it. Many people I know have lived with it. It's the establishment will call people with long hair and wearing a shell around their neck hippies.
Yes.
And I'm delighted, and it is a privilege to be termed by the establishment in those glowing terms, because I realise that I've obviously got to them.
Yes, good. I know. Well, the role of the maverick, or the thorn in the side of the establishment, as they see it, is one that I am delighted to support, particularly in this conversation, Peter.
Well, thank you. I think there have been many thorns throughout history, some beautiful thorns, and
Yeah.
they've left us with some wonderful words, and probably the greatest hope. I cannot really recall many establishment figures in my lifetime giving me any sense of joy or hope.
So in that case, a question number one then, because you're actually sort of led straight into it, is yes. What is joy? What is joy to you? What does joy mean to you, Peter?
Joy, joy is something that we cannot hold. Joy is something that
yes.
we bump into. Joy is something that disturbs us. Joy is something that actually takes real courage to connect with, because it's much easier to kind of follow the rules, to kind of stay on the narrow path, and to not actually be brave enough to encounter joy, because once you've met with joy, joy is going to really start to mess you up, because you're going to want to meet with it again. But we meet with joy. Yep. By doing something good and something wonderful and something loving for someone else.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
That's when I think we get a little taste of it. Or when we find a butterfly on the road that's been walloped by a car, and we pick it up and we breathe on it, and then we open our hands and it flies away.
Yeah.
What a sense of joy. But it isn't, I haven't given the butterfly joy. The butterfly has given me joy, has given me this gift of joy. And it's out there all the time. Look at the light on the water. Look at the way the seals will swim in the waves. Look at the way that some of our classical and contemporary musicians write. It's here. It's just that we're so timid, and we don't dare reach out and taste it and touch it, because having done so, it will change us. It will still us. It will amaze us. It will take us into wonderment. And those are quite dangerous places to be.
Well, I hope among other things, people who have just listened to that will be inspired to go out and take that risk, be that little bit more courageous, and and reach out and do something, maybe outside their current box.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask a young person, say, or if you ask me, if I ask you, what does the next 20 years hold for you? Or what does the next 10 years hold for you? If we're lucky enough to still be taking in breath. I doubt whether we would hear the response of joy.
Yes.
We would hear, oh, I'd like to be healthy, or I'd like to go to southern Crete and bask in the junipers, or I'd like to do 1,000 things. But it's actually what they're reaching at, what they're struggling to break through, all these ideas and all the patterns that hold all of us in being, is we're all reaching out for joy, but we need to be bolder. I need to be bolder. And I need to forget about what other people might think, or is this going to work? Can I wake up tomorrow morning and say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to embrace joy this morning for no good reason. I'm just going to do it.
Love it. Fantastic. Just love it. You're kind of sort of in that way, you'll kind of answer the second question. But because the second question is how important is it to you? And
I don't know. Look at the swallows in the sky, in the summer sky. Look at a marbled white butterfly. Yeah. Look at a speckled wood butterfly.
Yes.
They're just dancing in joy.
Yes.
They're just unabashed joy.
Yes.
I am joyful. Listen to the dawn chorus at 5 o'clock in the morning on a May morning. I mean, God, just breathe it in. It's just pure joy. Pure joy. The light on the water. Pure joy. So it's, as I've got older, I don't seem to be getting much past 31, but that's another story.
Yes.
As I've got older, I've realized, that how attached I've been to shame and misery and guilt, for all the crap that, I've kind of had to, that I've kind of laid at other people's door. Yeah. But again, am I bold enough? Can I forgive myself? Yeah. Reach out my hand and touch some joy. When I was, I'll just say a couple more things.
Yes, please. It's fantastic, Peter.
When I was with the Sadhus in India, these are wandering holy men. And we were at the Kumbh Mela, which is this massive Hindu festival. Yeah. And they came to me and said, we're going now. And I went, well, where are you going? We're just going to go and wander. And so I went with them. And I have never spent 2 weeks of my life in so much joy and laughter. They had nothing. They had a bag and a stick. And I mean, when I say laughter, I mean rolling around on the road, laughing. And we were sitting around a fire in a village one evening. And they said to me, you're a Christian priest? And I went, yes, I think so. And they said, well, what happens inside a church? And I said, well, we'll sing and then we'll pray. And then I might stand up and say a few very inappropriate words. And then we drink some wine and eat some bread. And then we sing a bit more and then we go home. And they went, but do you laugh? And I went, well, sometimes. But what they were saying is their religion was laughter.
Yes, yes.
Their religion was joy. It wasn't Hinduism or Buddhism or Christianity. It was joy.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
they just enfolded me in it. And my face would ache at the end of the day because I'd been laughing so much. And we just went from place to place just laughing.
How
And
amazing.
it was incredible. It was incredible. And it was unforgettably beautiful. And at the end of 2 weeks, before I got amoebic dysentery, you know, it had kind of washed me. This laughter, this expansive welcoming of life had just kind of washed me. And it was joy. That was my most profound experience of joy, was being with those men, those wandering men.
How fantastic. I'm very moved to hear all that, Peter. And I'm sure everybody who watches and listens to this will also be so equally moved.
But they had nothing, you know, they didn't have any life insurance. They didn't,
yes,
you know, they didn't go to a supermarket. They didn't own a house. They didn't run a car. They didn't pay a central heating bill. And, you know, you could say, oh, well, you know, well, of course. But they had nothing. And they were the most joyful human beings I had ever met. And one more thing.
yes,
One more thing. One more thing. You've got me going now. I was in Ethiopia. And we went to this all-night harvest festival, and then the priest said, come back to my house. And so we went back to his house, and I was sitting eating breakfast with him. And then he turned to me and said, I've been to London. And London was 1 million miles away. Yeah. I said, well, what did you think of it? And he said, your houses, because his house, there was barely anything in it. He said, your houses, they're full of stuff. He said, you've got so much stuff. And he said, you must be weighed down with all that stuff. And then I I agree with him. And then he said, when did you forget to share? And again, I come back. Joy comes from giving, from sharing, from loving another, and from loving self, which is far harder than loving another.
Yes.
These are the, you know, that is the path of joy.
Wonderful. I knew this was going to be a fantastic conversation, and indeed it has been. And in these times that we're in sort of now, it's a strong message, but it's actually, this is a timeless message, isn't it? Sort of joy is, you know, it is a supreme experience. It transcends, you know.
It is. Yeah, it's like gratitude. It kind of fizzes in every cell.
Yeah.
In fact, gratitude isn't though saying, well, thank you very much, mate. You know, that was really kind. You know, gratitude is, my God, all of me is grateful. Not just my heart or my mouth or my head. Every cell of me is grateful. And I think that's what joy does. Joy is cellular. It affects how we move and how we dance and how we feel and how we speak and how we sing. It is a cellular experience.
Amazing, amazing. Peter, thank you very, very much for your time.
Well, my brother, it's been a privilege, as ever, and it's great to see you.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I'm in fierce lockdown here, but
yes, we're about to be.
Yeah, when we escape, do you ever come to Southern England?
I do. You know, with a bit of notice, you might hear a kind of tap, tap, tap.
Come and eat the garden.
Yeah, lovely. Yes.
Come and eat the garden, and let's share a bottle of big, thick Spanish wine.
Yes.
talk to the stars and the birds.
Yes, yes.
And
Next, and then listen to another dawn chorus.
oh yes, let's
Yes.
get up and listen to a dawn chorus. You
Yes.
just sit there, and again, it just goes into every cell.
Yes.
It just fills you. And you come away, and you're just, you don't want to go back to bed. You want to dance. You just want to dance.
It's in the diary. I've written it in my diary, Peter.
Good.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. And just thank you, Peter. Thank you.
Well, no, well, thank you. Thank you. What a privilege to
Okay.
ask those questions.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.